today?
Good, how are you?
Good. We just discussing the weather. It's very humid where I am. I had to stop all my fans AC because, the sound. But how about you? How is it over there?
Toasty. Very toasty. It's very warm, very humid.
I'm based in Los Angeles.
I'm in Central Florida, so nice and hot weather today.
And alligators. I'm not sure if the stereotype holds up.
Oh, no, it does. It does.
So we're here to talk about your role in my dear friend Nokotan. But before we begin that, can you let us know how you began your voice acting career?
Yeah, so when I started out, I was actually very new to acting in general. I started in about 2020-ish is when I started getting some interest in wanting to do it. And then in 2022 is when I really started pursuing it. So from there, I started taking classes, auditioning a lot, and just having fun with it. So it's been a short ride so far, but hopefully it will be a long ride in the long run.
A short ride nonetheless, but you landed just in this anime series, my dear friend Nokotan, you landed what perhaps is your breakthrough role, if I can say that, with Koshi, correct?
Yeah, or Koshitan.
Koshitan, yes. So let's talk about Koshitan here a bit. The series alone, as you saw, the series alone is this huge comedy thing, which is rare in anime where they have to do it right. It has to be well written for it to play out really great, and they did a fantastic job on this. But let's speak on your character, because your character has a lot of moments of like, oh my god, and all of this, a lot of exciting moments. How was that for you, playing a character like that?
Sometimes it feels very real. It feels very like something I can connect to, because we're always living in this wacky world, even, in real life, we're living in this world. So I really relate to her in the sense of what is happening right now, what is going on. And she's just living in this world of there's nonsense happening. Everyone is just okay with it. So it's been a lot of fun to kind of take that bizarre side of it and just have that reaction to everything. Like, she is just a very reactionary character. This happens, she's reacting. This happens, she's reacting. So it's been a lot of fun. I love playing her.
The amount of fourth wall breaking in this series alone is so fantastic.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Just every time that they break the fourth wall, like in a recent episode, she actually talked to the narrator or like mentioned the narrator. And I was like, that is hilarious.
I've only ever seen that done in so very few animes. And like I said, it has to be well written so it can play off real well. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with ghost stories. That famous ghost, right? And there's another one. Yeah, I mean that alone is such a fantastic, interesting way that was dubbed. But there's another one called Cromartie High. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
I haven't heard of that one.
Cromartie High, exactly the same way as this anime series, except it's kind of a classic anime. But yeah, that's another. So those three. This is the third one that I have to add to that list, because I mean, my dear friend Nokotan really, it's wonderful,
I love it.
Had there ever been like a instance where you had to like improvise a few lines here and there? No, I know you had to match the mouth flaps and stuff like that, but
right. Not as much improvised, but there have been times where we changed the script a little bit to make it, fit a little bit better. We're trying to make sure it sounds grammatically correct in English, because you are translating from a whole nother language. So we just kind of tweak things here and there. But for the most part, everything is pretty free flowing. Like it's written, and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's go with that. So there hasn't been as much improv. It's been pretty simple.
As these things go, I know that, you don't have another voice actor there with you playing off each other, which, in this case, I think that would have been great. I think there's so many things that could have gone off there. But how do you play that off? I mean, do you have the audio of the other voice actor saying lines and you just like react to that?
Basically how it goes is you have the Japanese playing, and so I don't actually hear any of the other English voice actors until after everything is completely put together. So the only things I'm hearing are the Japanese. So I'm hearing Saki Fujita, who plays Koshitan in Japanese, and wonderful job. Oh my goodness. Like I'm like that. I'm like, oh, I have to try to live up to that. Oh, that's a lot. But it's just being able to hear their performance, it gives you an idea of how the character is supposed to react to certain things. So as long as you kind of follow how they performed it, then you'll get an idea for the most part. But there are times when you do have to really like picture yourself talking to the other character, just to get that authenticity of, I'm speaking to another character, not just copying lines, word for word, essentially.
A lot of the voice actors, original voice actors from Japanese, are so similar to English. Especially with Nokotan, with Trina.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, when I first heard Trina, I was like, that's Nokotan.
My name is Nokotan. Oh, my name's Shikanoko, but you can call me Nokotan. Meow, meow.
Like, I loved hearing her as Nokotan. I was like, because when I first, very first heard, I didn't know who it was. I just heard the voice and I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's really good. I'm like, I love that as Nokotan. So me trying to, because I'm not Saki. I will never be Saki. I will never, have the same voice as someone else. So I just kind of go based off of their performance, So for my voice, I know I'm not going to sound exactly like them, but I know that I sound similar-ish. So I try to kind of match, at least the tone and stuff to give the same kind of tone for the character. But yeah, I mean, as far as the people that have been cast in this particular anime, I've been loving everyone's performance. Everyone really captures the character, whether or not they sound exactly like the Japanese or they're doing their own spin on the character. Everybody's just been wonderful.
With Trina's performances, every nuance is there for Nokotan, and I'm like, wow, she nailed it. And I can't wait to speak to her on it, but she nailed it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I was so shocked because, of course, when we're recording, we don't hear the entirety of the episode. If you're not in a certain part of the episode, you don't hear that part until it comes out. So there are times when she's speaking in her normal Nokotan voice and then all of a sudden drops to like a lower octave and is like this serious character. And that cracks me up every time. And it kind of happens with Koshitan a little bit too, because she's got that delinquent side to her. So she's, she has her kind of like her three main things. She has her cutesy when she's talking to people that she's, they don't know her well enough and she doesn't want them to know that she's a delinquent. So she's like, talking like this and like, oh, I'm this perfect girl. And, I was never a delinquent. And then she's got kind of her, confused, just like, what is happening, and she's just like, what is going on here, kind of her normal voice. And then you've got her delinquent where she goes into that like really kind of she's a delinquent, so she's rough and tough and all that, which was a little bit harder for me to capture just because I don't have much of that gruffness to my voice. So trying to add that in places was definitely a challenge, but I did what I could. Definitely with like Trina just going from like voice to voice, I was like, it makes the character so much more fun. Like, I loved hearing it. And
it's funny you mentioned that because you can hear all that in the very first episode. All that,
yes.
So much happens in the first episode. It's like, what's going on for real? And then, like you were saying, your voice going from a cutesy, innocent school president girl to normal to a little roughness. You see that in that bathroom scene.
Yes.
Where it's like,
oh my goodness. And so many aspects of Koshitan too have helped me live out like my anime dreams, because it's just every trope that you get in anime, she's been through it essentially. She goes from, like I said, that cutesy kind of like that like idol girl, like she's like, I gotta be cute for everybody, I'm perfect. And then she has just her, like I said, her regular type of tone. So she's just like a schoolgirl, just living a regular life. And then being that like delinquent, I've had moments where I got to live out like my, shonen dreams and stuff where it's like she's yelling and there's a part where she has to, she has like this giant weapon and stuff and she's swinging the weapon. And so I got to like live that, fantasy of like, I'm a shonen character and I've got a weapon and I get to go, and she's given me all these opportunities to play out like every type of character that I could ever imagine. And it's been wonderful.
It looks like that by the end of the series, you have played every genre there is of voice acting.
Pretty much, yeah. It's almost like an isekai at this point too, because she's like, where am I? Like, this is not the real world. So you got isekai, you got shonen, you've got slice of life, you got all the kind, everything in there. There's been moments of like insinuating like a romantic scene, and it's like, you've got everything. It's been wonderful.
Speaking on your character, are there any traits from yourself that you can relate with Shokutan?
being a former delinquent? No, I'm kidding. Definitely not a former delinquent. I was the goody two-shoes in school, you know? But definitely just that, around other people, I definitely, and I feel like everyone's like this, where you feel like you kind of have to have this personality, you know, this, you know, vibe that people can vibe with you better and just feel, you know, more welcome in spaces, you know? So it's like, oh, you know, I have to play up, you know, this personality, and it's not that it's like a different personality, but then when you're with your friends, you're kind of like a different person, you know, you get to goof around and all this stuff. So it's kind of like between real life and social media, I guess, is the best example. It's like social media is your polished self, you know, that is what you want people to see. And then when you're with your friends, family, you know, people you're comfortable with, you could be a little gremlin. And I feel like that's kind of what she plays off of, is that she's just, you know, she needs to be perfect to everybody else, but behind closed doors, you know, she's a delinquent. It's hilarious seeing it slip out in front of people too, when she's, you know, got new people in the club and she's just like, oh, I'm so sweet. Nokotan, what did you just do? And then she's like, oh, my bad, didn't mean to do that. So it's like kind of like when you get that little gremlin side to you, and other people are like, oh, I thought you were like this nice polished person. I was like, oh no, I'm a little bit of a gremlin too. It's okay. That's definitely something that I can definitely relate to, is just having that, the polishedness, and then having your, you know, gremlin, like burping into the microphone and stuff when you're playing video games type of thing, like, or even streaming, like when people stream as well, it's like you're, you know, you're a whole different person, whether you're, you know, more like your regular personality or you're more polished and stuff. So,
and out of curiosity, have you actually read manga yet? Or?
I am caught up on it, and it doesn't get any more sensical, and I love that. It's actually the best thing.
Yeah, Shio wrote, and her art, by the way, is such an amazing. Her art is just, I've seen her art in other works, and it's just, it has this like very artistic, very flowy type of feel to it.
Yes,
right.
I love it.
and then this is her first ever like story she's written and illustrated as a manga, and it's like a complete hit.
I know, yes. Oh my goodness. I have the first and second volume, the physical copies right now, but I've read all the other stuff like through manga websites and stuff. And it's just been, you know, reading every chapter, you just don't know what's going to happen. And it's so beautiful because like last week's episode was about, you know, they said 18 different mini episodes in one episode. So you've got like all these different aspects. There's so much going on all the time that you are just never sure what's going to happen, and that's the beauty of it. Not even
your character knows what's going on.
Oh no, and that's, you know, going in and recording stuff too. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen. The very first episode, as I was watching through it, you know, I didn't have too much knowledge of the show yet, or like the series, because I hadn't read the manga. And I'm just like, what is this? So we're all laughing as I'm recording. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, there's a tear girl? What is this?
Let me know when you said what's going on. That was genuine. Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, that was a genuine what is happening.
When your character says what's going on, that's genuine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I was so blown away. And the second that I saw Nokotan go into that big, like almost JoJo character, I lost it. I was like, what is that? And but it was beautiful.
And once again, that's all in episode 1, I think. Was that episode 1 or episode 2?
Yeah, episode 1, episode 2, one of the two, but it was very early.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, what is happening?
I think what gets you the most from the series is when they show the CGI deer.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And people are like, why is there CGI? Like, what? There's an overuse of CGI. I'm like, no, it's for the humor. This is meant to be like that.
Exactly. The obvious CGI, I think that's just the humor of it, right?
Yes, yes.
It's
they could have just drawn deer. They've done it in the show.
Yeah, they've done it. I think in the first episode when she's stuck in the power lines, there's like 3 deers, like they're just watching what's going on, and all of a sudden it's just CGI deers.
Yeah. And that cracked me up when I saw it too. I was like, what is... why do they look like that? That's so weird.
And don't get me started with the catchy theme song. That went viral.
Oh, goodness, yes. So that went viral. Wasn't even aware that was, you know, gonna be viral. And when that scene came along too, when she's dancing and all that, I went in to the recording session, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna be doing that, the dance, right, from the viral stuff." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be singing Shika no Kono." And they're like, "Oh, you're not singing that. She has like a song that she does." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And we start listening to it, and it's her little song about herself. There was actually a tweet recently that somebody posted the scene of Koshitan singing the song in English from episode 3. They posted that, and it got like 1 million views on it on Twitter, and they said the dub made it even more cringe. And so at first my reaction was like, oh no. I was like, they're just gonna call it cringy and all that. But that was the point of the scene, was to be like cringy, because it's this girl, this teenage girl, singing a song about herself to a deer, in the clubhouse. So all the comments were actually very nice, because they were saying it's cringy, but like it's the perfect cringe because it's meant to be cringy. And a lot of people too were kind of given the realization of like, you do realize that this is what the people who speak Japanese hear, essentially, when they listen to it in Japanese. It's supposed to be cringy. But like seeing that entire scene play out was beautiful. Like the second that I heard the entire opening, past just the Shika no Kono Kono Koshitan, I was hooked. I was like, this opening is beautiful. I love every second of it. It's so cute. It's just adorable.
Yeah, and it's funny how that beginning part just like kind of went viral. You can just play that part and you can already know what it's going to.
You see everybody doing it too. You see you see cosplayers, you see just people just do everyday clothes. You see VTubers doing it, and it's like the extent that it has and like the audience that it's reached is insane.
Yes, I remember the first week when the song was just out and about in the world. I was sending my friend just the lyrics to that opening in all caps straight out of the expo because I couldn't get it out of my head. It was very catchy. And we were doing something related to the series at Anime Expo, and I'm like, oh, this seems appropriate. Might as well.
Yeah, and there are people who've done different types of covers of it. You see all kinds of things like guitar covers, drum covers, the rock version. Oh my goodness. Like the metal, all that stuff, I've been just enjoying because I love music. So I've just been sitting there enjoying like every single variation of it because everyone's so creative with it too. And I'm just like, this is crazy. I love it.
Well, here's hoping to see you at Anime Expo 2025 next year.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah. I haven't been to that one yet, but I've heard it's, it's a pretty big one.
It is pretty big, pretty busy. But I mean, if you're like a big anime fan, it's like the place to go. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah,
I see
like
videos and I'm like, oh, that looks so fun.
So before we end the interview, I would love to ask you if you can do the voice of Nokotan.
What's going on here? Nokotan, why do you have deer crackers again?
I'm not going to lie, I kind of want to try deer cracker.
I know, and supposedly I guess they're bland, but I mean, hey,
according
it's one of those try it once.
To the show? Yeah, I mean, I tried anything once, right?
Right, and it's like if it's bland, I mean, it's better than it tasted nasty.
There you go. I mean, if it's bad, the worst thing is happening, like, that's pretty much it.
It was all right. But the deer love it, so I mean, I trust the deer. With the ending song too, and they show like them like making the deer crackers, that had me laughing because you just see the little like chibi characters kind of going across the screen, and then you just see the process of making deer crackers as like the ending song. I thought that was hilarious, and I love animals, so like seeing all the actual deer on there, I'm like, that is so cute. That's so funny. I love that they just have like Nara Park videos, I love that.
I was not expecting that one.
Oh no, absolutely not. Which is funny. You shouldn't expect anything in the show.
There you go. That's one way to put it. Yeah. Well, Roo, it was fantastic talking to you about your role as Nokotan. It's a fantastic show. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Again, I can't wait to see I mean, although I know how it ends.
Right.
I can't wait. But I mean, it's a bit different because they did take out some things from the manga. I'm not sure if you noticed that. Yeah. They did,
but they've also added stuff too, which is awesome. Like there's scenes that they didn't have in the manga that I'm like, this is beautiful.
So who knows? The ending might differ from the manga, which
it might.
So we don't know.
Right.
Which is what I'm looking forward to. The end, to see how the whole thing kind of wraps up. And if there's a second season, sometime.
Oh, me too. I'm like, I can't wait to see how it ends, but also kind of hope there's more because this show is way too much and I love it.
Who knows? Maybe down the line, my dear friend Nokotan, the motion picture.
Oh my goodness. That, like, Nokotan's Big Adventure or something. That would be beautiful.
Nokotan's Big Adventure.
Who knows? Maybe someday it would happen.